Welcome back into the Sports Source. We are ranking the top 5 most important players of the year for the Vols this year. This segment of our ranking brought to you by Madisonville Marine. What is it that sets Madisonville Marine apart from other dealers? Well, you know about their selection and their fantastic pricing. Personally, I think the key is the people down there. I had someone this week remark about how easy they are to work with at Madisonville Marine. No high-pressure sales pitches, just really, really good people who are interested not in just selling you a boat, but in selling you the right boat. If you get a boat that doesn't match your needs, your family's needs, it's just something cool that you didn't put a lot of thought into, you're not going to go back. You're not going to want a second boat. That's not what they do at Madisonville Marine. They find the right boat for you. There's no better place to buy a boat. All right. I told you that we had Cheney and Garantano already 1 and 2 on our list. Number 3, as we tallied it up, Trey Smith was number 3. I did not have Trey Smith on my list. So many of you said he's the most important. Chuck, did you have him as?
I had him number 1.
Number 1. Here's why I didn't have him. I don't know if he's going to play. It's hard for me to say that the most important guy on this year's team is a guy who may not play. Now, let me flip that. What does that say about this year's team? That one of the most important players, and there might be a second one later on in this top 5 who might not play. What does it say that you're looking at most important player, Chuck, on your entire list?
On the entire list, yeah.
Is a guy who has an iffy health outlook.
And I think a lot of us, from what we've heard, we don't really expect him to be back. But I just was looking at, boy, from the emotional lift, the leadership part, if Trey Smith comes back and can play reasonably close to the level he did before, even if he can play guard, he doesn't have to play tackle necessarily, what the former number 1 high school recruit in the country by ESPN, if he can come back and be healthy, I think that could make a world of difference just in the emotional and leadership part for Tennessee's offensive line.
Well, the emotion and the leadership, that's one thing. On the sideline, it goes to a whole new level when you're actually on the field with those guys.
Being on the field, being back.
And then think about the prospect of having 2 true freshman tackles on that offensive line. If you have a Trey Smith experience to help those guys through some tough situations, makes a huge deal. Oh, by the way, his talent, his edge that they need more of, because there's the question whether a player or not, that's why I kind of slid him to this exact spot, but it can be huge.
And remember, there's some questions last year. People forget this now that he had that really incredible freshman year, and he played the first 7 games last year before he had to sit down with the blood clots. And by the way, there's no knock on Trey Smith. For goodness sakes, of course you want him back. One of the best players on the team. No question about that, and I have no doubts about him as a person. Sometimes you're dealt bad situations health-wise that are completely out of your control, as this situation is. But remember, last year there were people saying, what's wrong with Trey Smith? He doesn't look like the same Trey Smith. Was that a product of the clots at that point? Right. Or was it simply he changed positions last year as well? So if you remember the freshman year and you're looking at it saying, oh, he'd be a game changer. Okay, well, last year we weren't talking about him being a game changer when he was in there.
Well, I mean, what's the nicest way I can say people don't know what they're talking about? Like, we did film reviews at The Athletic, and I looked at the offensive line a lot because a lot was going wrong. And you know whose name literally did not come up once in the what's going wrong or what's happening? It was Trey Smith's. He's mauling people in the running game, and he's not allowing pressures. But, like, when there's 4 other guys around him that aren't getting it done, like, he's going, well, what's wrong with Trey Smith? Yeah. He's the guy we always hear about. Like, no, he's as good as you think. He is as good as people say. And that's why I had him pretty high on my list because Tennessee doesn't have that many impact players. Trey Smith is an impact player. You need as many as you can, as many future NFLers as you can.
Mike, your thoughts on Trey Smith?
Exactly. He's an impact player. I gambled putting him on my list because what he was as a freshman, I thought that this guy could become eventually the best offensive lineman ever to play here.
Yeah.
And a guy like that, I'm gambling on his upside.
Well, you had guys like Cole Kublik saying he's the best offensive line prospect in the SEC as a freshman. You had some people saying he's the best offensive lineman in the SEC, period, in terms of freshmen. So there's no question. To me, I look at it, instead of counting it as most important, because I still have doubts as to whether they play, I look at it as that would be the greatest found money That's like walking into a casino. You look down, there's a C note. It's like, hey, perfect.
They
But
just need him.
yeah, they need him.
But
It's
I'll
hard to
try and
count
get
on him.
up from the floor, John.
Yeah, exactly. All right. When we come back, we keep revealing the guys who are the most important. Who came in at 4th and 5th on our list, and did some of us cavalier the question? I'll explain. Come on back.